Hey, it's Hannah with Meadow Blossom Goods. Today we're going to chat about an item that's been up in the shop for a while. It is called Bran Water and it looks just like this. Um, Inside of this little brown package is a cloth bag that looks like this. And inside the cloth bag is wheat bran, okay? I don't know how many of you are familiar with wheat bran, but wheat bran is kind of the outer covering on what a grain of wheat is, and that carries all kinds of really good nutrients and antioxidants and all kinds of stuff that's really good for you to eat. But that's not really what we're using it for here. We're using it as a laundry product, which is something that is not talked about a whole lot, and for the most part, I don't know that we know a whole lot about why it makes a good laundry product, but it has been used for centuries for a variety of purposes. Marie Antoinette took baths in it because it's great for your skin. And I pulled this recipe out of some early kind of turn of the century cookbooks, although they were using it long before that and did continue to use it after that. So what it is said to do is it's said to have some cleaning properties. The World War I books are calling it a great soap substitute. And it's also said to have some light starching qualities as well. So this is kind of what bran looks like kind of in its raw form. And in order to get bran water out of this little cloth bag that you have, you are going to have to boil it. So the instructions on how to do this kind of come in all shapes and forms. A lot of them just say to put the bran directly in the water, but there are a lot that also say to sew it into a cloth bag. And this eliminates a step for you later, which is what we've done for you here at Meadow Blossom Goods. We have already sewn it into a bag, so you shouldn't have to strain your liquid later to get all of the obviously this stuff is going to leave kernels, little flakes of bran in the water after boiling. You're not going to have to strain it if you use it in the cloth bag like we have it set up for you. So in order to do this, you are going to have to obviously boil it in water. It says it has some brief instructions on the bottom of the package here. It's going to ask you to add the enclosed bag to 2 quarts of cold water and bring it to a slow boil and simmer for 15 minutes. So it's not too hard at all to do this. And I'm going to warn you that 2 quarts of water is a lot, and you're going to end up using a pretty big kettle. My standard saucepans that I have here in my kitchen were not big enough, so I ended up using something more like a stock pot for the cooking process. And my best tip is that to make sure that the bag is fully wet and like submerged before you put it on the stove, because it'll kind of cut down on time later. And what this is going to yield is going to be kind of a yellowish liquid, and we'll kind of show that a little later in the video. And that liquid can be used for washing and some starching, and this is more specifically for colored items. I've seen a bunch of references to it being used on just, colored cottons and that kind of thing. I've also seen some interesting references to it being used to wash things like tapestries. I don't have any tapestries in my house to try this out on, so I don't know how great it works, but I did have some great luck playing around with it on just regular cotton prints, and it does kind of rejuvenate the fabric and give it some of that life and body that it had when it's new. So I love this product for that purpose. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and submerge it in our kettle and get it on the stove to boil. So I'll walk you through that, and we'll take a look at what our end product looks like at the end of the video. So to start off with, you're going to take your kettle that has 2 quarts of cold water in it and make sure that you get the little cotton bag totally wet, and then you're going to go ahead and put it on the stove and turn the heat on. So Once it gets to a boil, set your timer for 15 minutes, and you're going to want to stir it here and there to make sure that the bag doesn't burn to the bottom of the kettle, depending on how deep your kettle is. When it's finished, you want to strain as much of the excess liquid out of that bag as you can. So I used just like a salad plate and a spoon and just squeezed as much as I could out. And then your liquid is ready to go. So after you have poured it into like a wash pan, this is going to be kind of the color you're going to be looking at. It's not exactly the prettiest color, kind of a yellowish color. Some of the laundry manuals will recommend that you add 2 more pints of water to dilute it out. Some say to use it just as is. So this is kind of personal preference on your part. For the sake of it, we're going to add 1 pint of water just to kind of just play around with it a little bit. I always use a mason jar for this because it is like the easiest possible measurement. Because this laundry mixing, it isn't an exact science when you're just kind of doing the mixtures like bluings and starches and that kind of thing. So if you're off by just a little bit, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to stir it so it is consistent. And I have a little piece of scrap fabric here as well that we're going to kind of give a try and kind of see how it turns out. It's kind of a fun scrap print. It doesn't want to get wet. There we go. And it'll probably be kind of hard to see what this does to the color and that sort of thing until it's dry. But I am liking the texture. It feels really nice. So we'll take this out then and kind of give it a squeeze. We'll go ahead and hang that up to dry. So, our piece of cotton has dried, and it looks awesome. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It has some really great, just a little bit of stiffness to it, not a lot, like you're not going to rustle when you walk or anything with the Bran Water, but it did definitely rejuvenate the fabric back to more of a like new kind of crispness. So it has a little bit more weight to it. I didn't even iron this. This is just kind of finger dressing it to flatten it out a little bit before it dried. And it's beautiful. I like how it held that finger dressing for sure. And I do really think that this would be a valuable tool for dresses and that sort of thing. I'll definitely be using it on my dresses for sure. So thank you guys for stopping by and checking out our video on Bran Water. Again, this is what the packaging looks like. You can find it up in the shop in the laundry stuff section at www.meadowblossomgoods.etsy.com. And we hope you'll stop by and give this Bran Water a try. It's a really unique product and I absolutely love it. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thanks for stopping in.